Hello again, I'm Kathy Williams from Brisbane, Australia, and I've been presenting a number of instructional videos specifically aimed at clarinet, although some videos can be used by other instruments. For example, my views on rhythm can be used by absolutely any instrument. Now, I've received a couple of requests and I've provided a guide to the altissimo register. Apologies if the physics references kind of went over anyone's head. I'm a bit of a science nut. But today I've been asked to give my tips on a warm legato. Now, this is going to take a number of sessions, and unfortunately YouTube only lets you upload a 10-minute video at a time. But I believe that we need to go further back than just achieving a warm legato, in that you want that warm sound. So at the heart of all clarinet playing is your sound. You know, it's no point having, you being able to play Flight of the Bumblebee at 200 clicks a minute, or being able to staccato, single tongued at a crotchet equals 144. I mean, it's great to be able to do these things, but in terms of the enjoyment that your audience will get, well, you can have all the flashy fingers in the world, you can have the fastest staccato, but if the audience doesn't like your sound, well, you're screwed. And I know this from personal experience. It took me many, many years to develop the sound I've got. And had many criticisms of my sound. And of course, your sound can, change whether you've got a good reed on or not, or even the acoustic of the room. But at the heart of clarinet playing is your sound. And I wanted to talk about that in my first video. And the thing with the sound is, you can tinker with your reeds, you can tinker with your mouthpiece, you can tinker with your barrel or your ligature, even different clarinet, your clarinet bell. You can do all those things. But what lies at the heart of tone doesn't come from here. It comes from here and here, this being the heart. You've got to visualize what kind of sound you want your clarinet to sound like. And a clarinet, no two clarinetists sound the same, and I encourage you to listen to as many recordings. I mean, there's heaps of online recordings now that you can listen to, and there's so many different schools of clarinet playing as to how you should sound, and also your tone will be different depending on what style of piece you're playing. Now, in terms of clarinet sounds, you can get the really round, intense, dark sound, which is indicative of the English and German schools. Or you can get the lighter, slightly whimsical, very witty French sound. The American sound varies from teacher to teacher. I know of an American clarinetist who I'm a huge fan of, actually, Jonathan Kohler, and the best way I can describe his sound is one of longing, yet with a wistful playfulness in it. I absolutely love his sound. I feel that my sound is probably most influenced by my time in England, and by the way I like to play my music. The way I approach my music is a great deal of intensity. A great deal of thinking goes into every one of my performances. A lot of it's instinctive, simply because I listen to a lot of music, not a lot of it clarinet music. And when you listen to a lot of music, you pick up different things. Maybe you like Richard Stoltzman's sound. I mean, he's a very, very fine player. of the English school, I believe Robert Plain and Andrew Marriner are two of my favourite clarinetists. I love Robert Plain's sound. Really enjoy his recordings. They're wonderful. And having seen Andrew Marriner play the Finzi Concerto live, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. But your tone is also driven by what sort of piece you're playing. For example, Brahms would of course have a very dark, intense sound because that's the kind of music it is. You know, Bernstein, you'd have a completely different sound, very much lighter sound, very fluid, even with a hint of vibrato here and there, which I know the Americans like, you know, a little bit of vibrato. A little bit frowned upon in England and Europe, I'd say. And Australia, well, you know, take your pick. Of the experiences I have of learning in Australia, they could take it or leave it. I get into moods, I do use vibrato here and there, and other times I don't use it at all. The thing with vibrato is you've got to be careful not to lose tone when you are vibratoing. When you are, you know. So, the heart of your sound starts with the concept. What do you want your clarinet to sound like? Who do you want to sound like? And how do I reach that particular sound? Now, as I said, the first thing I would suggest is listen to as many different clarinet players as you can. I think I was first influenced by a recording of the Mozart Clarinet Concerto I was given as a 10-year-old. Can't remember the clarinetist. You know, it was a cassette tape. That's how far we're going back. It was a cassette tape. Also influenced by a wonderful Brisbane clarinetist by the name of Paul Dean. If you ever get to hear any of his recordings, he has an absolutely lovely sound. He's an absolute master of the instrument and a very big influence on me. I've had the enormous pleasure of playing next to him in the Queensland Symphony Orchestra. So yeah, listen to as many, and I mean the internet has such a wide variety. Okay, so now you've got the concept of what you want your clarinet to sound like. Okay, now we can talk, okay, how do I get the sound I want? Now for a start, what you actually hear when you're playing the clarinet isn't actually what the audience hears. That's because what you're hearing is actually the vibrations in your head brought on by the vibrations from the reed and the clarinet. So the best way to ascertain what your clarinet sounds like is to do what I do. Either stick the video camera on, although while it's good visually, the sound is not necessarily as good as a recording device. So I've got a little recording device, put it where the audience will be sitting, so I generally put it about, 3 to 5 meters away. And it's very, very instructive, and you hear exactly what's going on, how an audience member would hear it.